please recognize the world we're living in. We're living in a world where there's so much more opportunity. This internet thing created way more opportunity for all of us, way more. I mean, look, you might not even be alive. Like, your mom and dad could have had sex like 3 minutes later and you wouldn't even exist, and you're complaining. You could have ended up being a bus, a tree. I just don't get the mentality of being head down sad on a Monday morning. I'm gonna make Monday morning my bitch. I'm gonna make you Saturday Monday morning. That's what I wanna do every morning, and that's what I want from you. Please, take a step back and think about how awesome it actually is.
So, let me tell you a story about Gary Vaynerchuk. NobleCon would not be where it is today, would not even exist without Gary Vaynerchuk. So when Rob, Al, and I started out with the idea for NobleCon, we wanted to bring a no bullshit business conference, not one that motivated you, not one that, you know, got you all rah-rah jacked up to start your own business, but one that could actually teach me as I'm trying to grow, you know, to a multi-million-dollar agency. I wanted to bring in speakers that could teach me how to do that, tactically how to do that. And so when we started out the idea for the conference, we said, how do we make sure this thing is big? How do we make sure people trust it and make sure that it gets the attention that we need it to get? And then how do we also leverage that to get better speakers, you know, more tactical speakers? We said we need to have a person who everybody knows, who everybody trusts, be at the forefront of this. So we need a big name speaker who's not just a motivator. Nothing against a Tony Robbins, who, by the way, is a genius business person, but people think he's a motivator. But we don't need somebody who's just known for motivation. We need somebody who's known for building actual businesses. First person that popped into my head was Gary Vaynerchuk. So I literally stalked him on social media for a couple of weeks, every day DMing him on Instagram, LinkedIn, hitting him up on Twitter, emailed his website, everything. Finally, somebody on his team got back to us and said, hey, let's talk. So we negotiated a deal, because if you know Gary Vaynerchuk, you know he's all about the hustle. He's all about the barter, trade, like, you know, flipping things. And we didn't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on speakers. We had no money. I mean, you know, we could have put a few $1,000s in, but, you know, we didn't really have any money. So what we did is we said, you know what's the most important thing, or one of the most important things to Gary Vaynerchuk right now? We said Empathy Wines. He had recently started a wine brand, Empathy Wines. He was really pushing it and trying to get it off the ground. And we said, listen, what if we could push, you know, $100,000 worth of wine? Would you come and speak at our conference? He said yes. You know, that was after some back and forth, you know, negotiations of the amount and things like that. But I wanted to mention that because it's a huge inspiration for all of you out there trying to start your own business. Don't always think that you need $1 million in investment. Don't always think that you need what you think you need. You only need what you need to get to the next step. And then from there you can figure it out. Having a plan is great, but having action and having it be moving you forward, having it move you forward is even better. So once we got Gary on, then we sort of leveraged Gary's name to be able to get other speakers. But let me dive into why Gary is the linchpin for the noble way, if you'll call it. I came across Gary really early on in my career, and relatively early on in his social media career. I came across him probably in 2009, 2010 maybe. He had Wine Library TV. It was a wine YouTube show just covering wine. Every day he would turn on the camera and taste a different wine. He'd have guests on, things like that. The show was becoming a huge hit. The first couple of years, it didn't get any. It got like, you know, a few hundred views, but it really was starting to catch on because not many people in the world were really putting out a ton of video content online, and definitely not a lot of people in the wine space were putting content online. And so Gary started to get attention for doing that.
Stop making excuses. Stop complaining. Nobody's listening. They may pretend they're listening. The market doesn't care. What you need to do is make one person happy, you. Then you can make everybody else happy. You know why I like making people happy? Because I'm already happy.
And I really gravitated to him. To be honest with you, I didn't love his personality. I thought he was a salesman. I thought he was, kind of cocky. And I didn't really respond well to that, but I responded well to his business acumen, his way of thinking about marketing and branding. And it wasn't all, you got to do SEO and you got to build a good website and clean. He wasn't getting into the details like that. He was saying, listen, you want sales, you want to do something great, build a brand, make people love you. You don't have to hack your way to that. You just need to be honest and truthful. And as I started to learn more from him, I started to learn that number one is he's one of the greatest business minds I think I've ever listened to or seen. Once you can get over his personality, if that's not for you, he's one of the greatest business minds. And number two, he's also a great human being. He also is super empathetic. He's also super understanding, super friendly. He's got his on-camera persona and things like that, and he's like that in real life, but he truly cares. So I just really gravitated to him because that's how I want to run my business. I want to grow a $100 million company, but I want to do it so that my team is happy and my customers are happy and clients are happy, and I'm not, a drill sergeant. I understand that they have their lives to live also. So I really started to gravitate towards him, and at the time I was starting a online personal training company super early on in the social media world. It was 2009. That business ended up failing because I was young and naive and didn't have the experience to really run an effective business. But I kept following Gary. I kept watching him. I kept watching what he was doing, and he really paved the way for where I am today. And success means different things to everybody, but success to me means building a financially stable company with an amazing team, a growing scalable system, a scalable system, and everyone around me is generally happy. Sure, we're going to have stressful days, but everyone around me is generally happy. And watching Gary over these years has really carved out that channel for me and that success for me. And, his principles are going to be the reason for our continued success for decades and decades because they're just really great, tried and true. So I'm super excited that Gary is our headliner at No Bull Con because that's what we all should aspire to be. Somebody who is driven, somebody who's kind, somebody who's empathetic, somebody who's smart, somebody who's open-minded, somebody who can seize the day on one side, can make an executive business decision, but can turn around and make, millions and millions and millions of people happy. He's an amazing person.
So to me, hustle would be putting all your effort into achieving the goal at hand. And for me, that means making every minute count. And look, you need a break? Good. Get your break. But the bottom line is every minute that you can apply to your game, you need to.
I can't wait for people who are not familiar with Gary to hear his talk, his presentation at No Bull Con. And I can't wait for people who are fans because he's going to be bringing fire that you won't get on social media. That's the thing. He's going to be bringing knowledge and dropping bombs on tactical business advice for people who see a lot of his motivational content on social. In fact, we've gotten some messages about No Bull Con saying, like, why would I pay to watch Gary at No Bull Con when I can just go online and watch all of his stuff for free? Well, you certainly can. But most of what he's putting out there for free is motivational content, generalized information, trending topics. At No Bull Con, he's going to be delivering actual tactical business advice that you can use in your business tomorrow. Whether you're a manufacturing company or you're a financial services business, he's going to be bringing some real tactical advice. And I'll leave you with this. The thing that I just heard him say on a recent podcast is he turns 45, I think, or he already is 45, something like that. But he says, he was in the interview, he was like, you know what? I've always been confident in myself. but I've never had the experience, and I only really start talking about things when I have the experience. And he said that I finally feel like I have the perfect mix of the God-given talent that I was given, the confidence, and the experience to be an all-time business leader. And I was like, man, that's got to be a good feeling. People are scared of getting old, but he's embracing it and saying, listen, I now am basically like a superhero business person. So I can't wait to follow Gary for the next decade of his career, of my career, and I hope you attend Noble Con, all of you out there, because you're really going to get a lot out of Gary and all of our other speakers. So we'll see you there.